have the truth told about the history of racism and racial oppression and the lack of the right to self-determination. We know that it's harmful to black people and to white people. White people don't know this history either. And they need to know what this state apparatus that was created by the so-called founding fathers, what kind of government they put together. And it's a government of repression. And so I think that we have to redouble our efforts to get people to understand that these people ain't got nothing for you. That all they got is the prison. All they got is more police terror. All they got is us scrambling to keep a roof over your head, but they don't have anything that says that we're going to be free. And so we've got to define what freedom would look like, because a lot of people have no conception whatsoever of what would it mean to be free. And so from the capitalist point of view, being free means being free to exploit. From the point of view of the working class, being free means that the majority of people who create all the wealth, that we, through our labor, create all the things that are created, all the goods and commodities, and that should belong to all of us and not be appropriated by the rich ruling class. And I think that's what we should be doing every day.
And to that notion, man, again, just to find out where we stand, we got a white supremacist in the White House, but the stuff didn't start with him, you know what I'm saying? He didn't create the institutions of white supremacy, he just fanning the flames and able to use it to his advantage as far as, electoral politics goes and sort of controlling the narrative, but they just had these white supremacists shoot, some people in a Walmart up in Texas and, another one shoot a nightclub up in Dayton, Ohio, man. Like this was 100 years ago, they'll have statues to these people. They have towns named after them, parishes named after them, parishes that we stay in now, the schools we're under now, named after white supremacists, the street names, you know what I'm saying? So this thing is deep and it's rooted in it, but it's a case of that's why we got to continuously educate and fight back. We got a saying here, with the New Orleans Workers Group, now we hit the streets, but we say, how we gonna make New Orleans rise? Educate, agitate, organize. Again, y'all can follow up with that. How we gonna make New Orleans rise? Educate, agitate, organize. With that said, boom, anybody else got another question?
The brother, the police officer with Eric going.
Yeah, man, we got my sister Vanna reminded me, they had this damn white supremacist killed Eric Gardner, and it's a case of where the question in the narrative was should he get fired, you know what I'm saying? They questioning whether or not, this dude that murdered somebody on live TV should get fired or not, man, he should be arrested, put underneath the cuffs, if not even worse. You know what I'm saying? A life for life at that point, man. That dude literally choked him out on TV, and he was getting $97,000 a year. After he murdered somebody, he was still getting 97 racks a year. That's taxpayer dollars. And they, they fired him after 5 years. He getting his pension. They was trying to, get him his pension. Thus, they prolonging the firing. And after he did get fired, in 4 days, these white supremacists around the country raised $100,000 for him. Out of sympathy, of pity, or whatnot. That's the narrative that they try to control. Whenever it's, a police officer, somebody of office, it's this, Steve Scalise got shot and whatnot. Man, these dudes get world-class treatment. You know what I'm saying? I get shot, this dude in the 7th wall gets shot, somebody in the 9th wall gets shot, Steve Scalise gets shot. Who do you think get better treatment? Like they got this saying in animal farm, all of us are created equal, yet some of us are more equal than others. And that's the way this sick society has formulated our way of thinking, where we automatically think that these people are kings and queens and princesses and all this kind of stuff that just, gives them a higher value than us, when we the ones that do all the work and have contributed everything that's good in society. So we got to recognize that and continue dropping game and educating the next person that's right there next to you, the power that they got within and the power we got in as a collective, because ain't none of us no Superman or Superwoman. It's going to take a collective effort to be able to overthrow these systems of oppression that we've been fighting against. So with that said, it's a call to action. I'll bring my sister Angela up here so she could let us know what we got coming up within different organizations and whatnot.
Okay, how y'all feeling? All right, I just want to take a few quick minutes to share with you what you can do after today. Because there's nothing better than being able to come and spend time like this and then knowing what you can do with it when you leave the space. So as it relates to the workers group, we're really grateful because the workers group has really served as a foundation for a lot of the activity that's transpired over the last year in terms of how we can channel this energy into some revolutionary activity. And we're all clear that there's a difference between reform and revolution. But in order to get to revolution, it requires a collective people to have a consciousness, an elevated consciousness around what to do as it relates to shifting society and reorganizing society. And clearly, where we are right now, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of practice that we need to engage in order to even get to that place. And so there are ways in our community right here and now that we can practice in terms of creating that world that we desire to see, starting today. So I just want to share right now, we have folks in the room that identify differently. Some people in the room might identify as black, some people in the room might identify as white, some people in the room don't necessarily identify with either of those political designations. But here's what we know. Within community, there's some work that we as black folk need to do, some work that we need to do amongst ourselves, and there's also some work that white folks have to do amongst yourselves. Which means that there are times when we talk about confronting white supremacy, there's conversations that white folks have to be courageous enough to have with other white people. And not always expect that in times and places that as black people, we're going to be able to produce all the emotional labor to dismantle white supremacy. But then when black folks are doing work that they need to do, white folks are doing work that they need to do, there are times when we have to come together collectively because white supremacy would like to keep us all divided up. White supremacy would like it to be the fact that we are so focused on each other that we don't focus our energy in terms of who the real enemy is. And I'm going to tell you right now, systems of oppression don't care about poor white people either. And if they can convince you that black folks are the enemy, then we have a kind of division that will continue. So as it relates to things that we can do now, on September 7th, there's going to be a workers' unity rally. We have these flyers on the table that you can grab on your way out. This is an actual rally for workers to come together and say, there's an opportunity for us to fight. Why? Because as we are thinking right now about the ways in which immigrant workers are being exploited and oppressed, we have to keep in mind that what we're seeing is a compilation of what's been happening here in Louisiana and here in New Orleans every day, 365 days a year. So imagine if people came together and said, we don't want any forms of incarceration. Because whether we're talking about ICE or we're talking about the New Orleans Police Department, it's all the same thing. It's all state-sanctioned violence upon people. And the sooner we start to realize that for ourselves, and the sooner we begin to understand the connections between those, so be it. Some people right now are talking about the way to end this violence is to have gun reform. We say one of the ways to end this violence is to have control over the police who are causing kind of damage around all of us. And there's something to be said about the truth around that. We also want to share with you that we have a little booklet here that you can actually get on your way out in terms of black workers and the role that we have to play in terms of black liberation movement. That is only $2 and it's at the door. We also want to share with you that as Malcolm had said earlier, on the second Tuesday of the month, September 9th, we have a street meeting that happens on the corner of Canal and Elk. We ask you to come out and join us. Too often, when it comes to having conversation about this with one another, there's not room or space to be able to delve deeper. But on every second Tuesday of the month, on the second Tuesday, which is the one that's coming up is September 9th at 4:30, we'll be on the corner of Canal and Elk. And for those of you who've been paying attention to what's been happening in terms of the exploitation of black working class people in the Desire area, Upper 9th Ward area, Gordon Plaza, right there where Press Park used to be. There's an opportunity for us to gather and put our arms of support as a community around the residents of Gordon Plaza in the fight for a fully funded relocation for them living on the toxic soil that the city invited developers in to ultimately sell those homes to black working class people. So the reason I'm sharing this is because when we see this kind of history, we think, oh, those are the kind of things that happened way back when. We are having exploitation and oppression happen all around Orleans Parish every single day. People are getting separated from their families in Orleans Parish every single day. People are being exploited and oppressed every single day. And even when we talk about chattel enslavement, we can see the way in which that's being perpetuated through the 13th Amendment right here in Orleans Parish with all of the people who've been incarcerated and all the people who we see who are sent to prison. So we have a great opportunity right now to practice these revolutionary theories in real life right here in Orleans Parish. And we want to invite you to join us in this work. We just want to share with you, and I want to say thank you to everybody who spoke today, because I can tell you from firsthand testimony, these are people who are not just giving a presentation, they are fighting all year round, every week that goes by, engaged in one of these fights and struggles so that we can collectively work together. And so what I want to ask us to do are two things. If you would like to even donate to this cause, you're more than welcome to. We have donation buckets that are on the table back there, and Gab is coming around. And I'm also going to ask you, as that is happening, if we can form a circle right here in the middle of the floor, we're going to do a closing affirmation before we depart. I'm going to ask you to join us in the circle right here.
Wait. Okay. I'll say it on the phone.
river. And it's contagious, you know what I'm saying? It's something that's going to be spread. So you got to keep spreading it, you got to, keep these things on, because it's bigger and bigger, uncertainty is bigger and bigger, because we got so much power to take it in. And, it's also very bunch of people. It's not just because it's tough, you know what I'm saying? It's hard work, but it's working on, and it's a way for us to unite and make sure that we got strength behind us as we serve it up right now. So, as we go out of these walls and whatnot. So we say that we get up our stop the store, we get up to all the revolution having the hands forward, on the Vietnam, on the come on the street, because it's work that it's going to guide on the second stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep fighting. We got a grand cars that burning right now. So we still fighting and stuff. So, like, we know that we got work to do, but that's all in it together. We take it accountable. That's the only way to accountable. So we say, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. I said it's our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. I said it's our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change. I said we have nothing to lose but our change. We have nothing to lose but our change.
Adam.